Welcome, Yagnika. Hello,
Thank
everybody.
you. Thank you.
With us, a very positive person, Yagnika Mathur, who's a very accomplished yoga teacher, and several students have benefited from her teaching. I'm sure today, after talking to her, you and I are going to learn many things from her. Welcome once again, Yagnika, to our show.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
Thank you. Namaste, everybody. Namaste to you all.
So my first question to you is, Agnika, like what inspired you to begin this venture, what you're doing? And please tell us something about yourself. I have just heard about your name. It would be very nice if you can speak something about yourself and what inspired you to begin what you're doing, what you do.
Okay. So I think it was something that I have always done as a child. Also, I have always like since because of my family history, I have always practiced it. But I think as a child and even when I grew up, it always remained as a physical practice, unless during my 12th standard, I got introduced to meditation. I definitely got introduced to it by my guru. But I think one of the incident in my life, 12th standard is a lot of pressure and everything. So I underwent a lot of pressure, and there was a phase where I was very depressed at that point of my life, and there was no reason for it. It was a strong depression, and I didn't know what to do, and
After
that
class
is when
12, after
sorry.
class 12, you were depressed.
I think it was the whole pressure of being in the 12th standard and all that. It is a lot of pressure at that particular age, right? So I truly went into depression, and I think that is the time when I found meditation. It was just an
What,
experiment.
what subjects were you studying at that time in class
So
12?
I took a normal combination of PCME, a science combination. So I think right after I finished is when I went to this phase, and that is a point where I really understood meditation, because I like I would sit in a rock, like it was a village, and during the sunset I would sit, and I would experiment on this. I would experiment sitting on it, and I would try to find out for hours what's happening. I would try to find out the expansion and the contraction, like how it was related to the universe and all these things. It was more like an experimenting thing. It happened.
But you were saying you had a guru. So your guru was monitoring you while you were doing this meditation.
Yes, yes. I always had a guru. Ever since my childhood, I always had a guru. Her name is Shantala Madhu, and she is the one who taught me. So I also assisted her for a long period in my life. Like at a point, she told, "You are ready to assist and everything," and that's when I started assisting. Apart from that, even when I learned Indian arts, like I studied Indian classical dance, even for that there was a guru. So always I was always in the guru shishya parampara. So I
She's
think
also
that
in
is.
Bangalore only. She's guru who taught you yoga. She's also living in Bangalore, the same
Yeah,
city.
yeah. Yes, yes. She is the student of BKS Iyengar. And my family was related to BKS also. So I think right from my childhood, I was always practicing yoga. I was always practicing asanas. And then I went to Shantala Madhu, where since my childhood only, she started teaching me and everything. So it was almost like my everyday. So I would practice every single day, and I had my own self practice, like, because my teacher told, although you learn, you should always practice by yourself. It helps you to experiment, because it helps you to understand your own body better. So or I would practice with my teacher, and then I would practice by myself also,
So
to understand.
you began teaching immediately thereafter. Or
No,
you
no, no. I started studying. So see, I started. my yoga practice, or I started learning probably at the age of 4 or 5, is what I remember.
That's really
So yeah, I started very young. And I think with Shantala ma'am, I went when I was probably in 7th standard. And I started teaching only in 12th standard when she asked me to. So that was long years of practice and training along with her. I was studying, and
and
I
that's
have been.
very young because people who are writing their 12th examinations, they are not, many of them are teaching. They are going
Yeah.
teaching. So that's quite commendable that you began teaching so early. Very nice.
No, but I would never teach apart from her, but whatever she would ask me to assist people, I would just do with her. And I would just, even, people near my place, if they would ask me, I would help them. So I never got into it professionally or commercially, but I started probably after my 12th standard, like right after
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So now you are teaching many students. You
Yes,
can.
now I am teaching properly. I'm teaching professionally. I am teaching in a lot of places actually.
All
I
right.
think I started teaching. So, what happened was after my 12th standard, like I told you, right? I was having a self practice. I was going through a depressive phase. And then I found out meditation. After that, my yoga practice became very spiritual. After that point, I decided to completely get into it. But then we all have to have a basic degree, right? So
So
even my parents.
you, when you decided that yes, I'm going to teach yoga to students. So what challenges you face to, get students, get to train them in the way you teach? Were there any challenges you encountered while expanding?
Definitely. I think even today, one of the main challenges is that students, when they come with a lot of mind blocks, thinking that yoga is difficult, it's not for me, one needs to be flexible. I think all these are myths and all these are mind blocks. It is not at all necessary for anybody to be flexible to practice yoga, or it is not at all difficult. So I think what really matters is consistency and being happy with wherever you are doing. I mean, doing whatever you are doing, you should be happy with it, right? So then only you're going to make it an enjoyable process. So I think the important aspect is for students to understand that they need to enjoy themselves, rather than stressing about where to reach or how to reach. So in my opinion, this is the biggest challenge I face, is to remove all their mind blocks in the process of teaching.
So, Yagnika, you have been talking about your situation, emotional and mental situation when you were in class 12
Yeah.
and how you came out of it. So, I meet several students who
Yeah.
are in class 12 and who are preparing for engineering entrance examination. So,
True.
there's examination called NEET, in which
Hmm.
you train to be a doctor. And
Right.
similarly, there are several examinations which, if a student is not able to clear, he or she goes into depression. And the
Right.
society is judging them. I see several examples.
Yes.
So I want to take your advice. The viewers will benefit from it. How yoga can help such people come out of such depression of competition, peers, or sometimes parents also judge.
Right.
Yeah. So can you please tell us how yoga would help such people?
See, one of the most important aspect that helped me was self-awareness. So I think with physical asana practices, I was more aware of myself. So when you're more aware of yourself, you are more aware of your mental status, and you're more aware of being in the present. So I think by practicing, by being in the present, we start worrying lesser about people around us or about what people would think about us and all these things. It's almost like with the asana and with the meditation practice, it helps you to cut yourself off from the surroundings, and to stay at the present time and to actually enjoy the present time, which is very important for students, especially during their exams, is because rather than stressing about the results or what people would think, where their energy would get wasted, they have to think about, they have to be at the present, focusing and developing interest on what they are actually reading and actually grasping it. I think that way their energy would be more channelized towards progression than worrying about other people and all these things. I think in that particular way, yoga and meditation would truly greatly help.
Okay, so my question, which is quite related to what I've been asking you. So suppose I'm a class 12 student, or let's say if I'm beginning to come,
Yeah.
how may I start benefiting, seeing the benefits, and what benefits would I see, say, 6 months down the lane? In other words, how much time would I require to see some tangible changes in my health, my emotional wellness, and how would they manifest? How would you know, my guru, that yes, Anwar has changed?
Okay. I think in the first 1 month itself, I start noticing changes, at least for the students that I have been with. The first thing that will change is their posture. They'll start sitting more straight. And they'll not be hunchback. The next changes I start seeing in the second month is their behavior changes. They'll be more patient. They'll start getting more patience in whatever they are doing, and less angry, and they'll start stressing less about what needs to be done and everything. I think the physical and the mental changes happen simultaneously is what I have noticed. In a span of 3 months, you can notice the behavior changes, and you can also notice emotional changes, and you can notice mental level changes, that they will be more focused into sitting, and they will be more they'll be less distracted by the surroundings, is what I have truly noticed in certain people. But so said, consistency is always the key. If only I have seen the changes happen only if they put effort to be consistent.
So for
Yeah,
this, I think a guru is very important.
very
Why I'm
much.
saying so, Yagnika? Because some people these days, thanks to YouTube and the internet, they have so
Oh.
and what you do is just put on any particular video and you start practicing. So I want to know your opinion. Isn't it good to have some kind of yoga guru to initiate into yoga and somebody to monitor you rather than just doing randomly with YouTube videos?
Yes. See, the entire yoga practice is not like how it's looked at today. It's a very spiritual practice. And for you to realize your spirituality, a teacher is required. A guide is definitely required. At least to me, the kind of relationship I have with teacher is it's so intimate that I cannot explain it. Even if I am smiling, if I am doing anything, my teacher can make out at what point I'm distracted. My teacher can really make out the difference between my upper body energy and my lower body energy. Even today she tells that my upper body energy is more than the lower body energy. It's really crazy how they can make it out. And see, like you have your parents to guide you, to tell you, you have to go in certain path. In the same way, you have your guru, because yoga is not just a physical thing or a mental thing. It's a lifestyle. You need a person to guide you for a lifestyle. Having a guru is like having a parent. It's the relationship is so like I told you, the relationship is so intimate that they will guide you at all fronts, like, because they will be the person who will observe you. The reason you need a guru is not because you have to do asanas correct, is because you will get lot of blocks, you will get lot of mind blocks, even, and you'll get a lot of fears. I can't bend forward, I can't bend back, or you will get scared intellectually. I might be like this, what is the society telling? So you definitely need a person to guide you throughout all this. Like, I think in that way I am so lucky to have my gurus, because they have always guided me and I have always depended on them. So I have always gone, I have always discussed everything, and I have always truly depended on my teachers, especially my guru, Sneha Devanandan. So she has, she really made me, she made me see God. She made me realize spirituality. God, as in, I'm not telling the idol. Like I'm telling the consciousness. Like how you would realize the consciousness of God. These kind of aspects, these kind of spiritual aspects, can only be it can only be realized. And even as a teacher or even as a guru, I cannot force them to make them realize, but I can only guide them and I can help them remove their blocks, and hence they will be able to achieve it. But if you see videos, you don't know whether you're doing right or wrong. You're blindly doing. When you're blindly do Yeah, when you're blindly doing, and when you're doing wrong, you are practicing at becoming wrong better.
But Yamika, these days the entire country is under lockdown and people are afraid to go out and seek a teacher. So do
True.
you have some advice for people who are working from home, housewives, corporate people? What type of asana they can do right now because they cannot see you in the physical form. And so if
True.
you can tell them the asana, so it will be great if you can show them. I'm not sure if you're ready to show them. I can pause the video, and if you want, you can show some asana if that is up to you. You can show.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can just tell, just describe what the. It's up to you. I should have told you what to talk about.
No problem. See, so said, even realizing the asanas and having a connect to it and doing it, it can be done online. There are a lot of Zoom classes happening, and I still think that a proper guidance from the teacher is required, because even if it's online, say if I'm teaching also, I would see how they are doing through a Zoom call, and you need to correct the student not just physically, you need to correct them mentally, you need to correct them emotionally. So there are steps of correction. So if at all anybody wants to do a self practice, then just a simple asana, what I would recommend is sorry. Yeah, I hope you can see me. So it's a very simple asana. So it really helps in a lot of stress reduction. It's so simple. We would do it in temples all the time. So you just hold your hands back, the wrist like this. You just hold it back. Take the breath in, stomach touching your thighs, chest touching the knee, head drop down. That's it. You can stay there for a minute. So
And how many
this,
times should I do it?
see, actually, a lot of people think that you should repeat it many number of times. But in my opinion, repetition is a kriya, right? Repetition is a cleansing process. But only the flow process happens only when you stay in it. What I would ideally recommend for everybody is stay there, time it for 1 minute. Keep a timer. Time
Okay.
it for 1 minute and stay there for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is something that everybody can practice for instant stress relief.
I think this is the correct time to ask you this question because what is the difference between upper body energy and lower body energy? Because this particular asana, I became curious because you
Uh,
are trying to exercise both the portions at time.
okay, so see, if you see the lower part of the body, they are just limbs. They help you walk, they help you in the movement. Hands and legs, they are attached, right? So, what is required for the limbs? Strength is required for the limbs. That
Correct.
is the lower part of the body. Now, if you take the upper part of the body, from the head till your spine, your entire cervical you take, your entire spine, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, all the entire spine you take. What is required for the upper part of the body? Fluidity, right?
Okay.
The spine needs to be fluid. The
All right.
spine needs to be flexible. So the upper part of the body needs to be soft, and the upper part of the body needs to be fluid. It needs to keep, you know, the moment the upper part of the body becomes rigid, like say if you see our grandmas and all, they'll have a very hunchback, right? The spine is not fluid, the spine is stiff.
Yes.
Yeah, so as the spine becomes stiff, the aging process becomes faster. So that is the difference between upper body and lower body of energy. You want the lower body to be strong and the upper body to be fluid. So this is the difference between the energy.
So, Yagnika, you have spoken about some old women right now, and you also spoke that when you're very young, 4 years or 7 years, you began to do yoga. So, I
Yeah.
want your advice how to initiate young people in the present times, because I've seen both very young people and old people. They are not interested to start yoga. Like if you had to speak to somebody in their early 20s or 30s, they would be very receptive to me that yes, yoga is important. But if I tell you to somebody who's 62 or let's say 8 years old, they will not pay attention. So, is there any way I can, we can encourage them to initiate, become your disciples?
I think it's the way of teaching, it's the method of teaching, because the psychology of a 8-year-old and the psychology of a 62-year-old is going to be very different, but yet similar. If you if you consider an 8-year-old, you have to make it seem like it's a game for them. Come, let's both play this. See, I am able to do this. And very their awareness is really a lot. So then they will tell you, you know what, I'm feeling like this. They will tell you. Then you can make it more interactive. Oh yeah, and you can also learn from them. You can tell, oh, you're feeling like this. You're feeling in the back like this. Your stomach is feeling like that, and they'll tell, yeah, my head is feeling like this. My head is feeling like it's going like this, up and come. You know, when I was teaching a very young child, a very young 8-year-old, so I was just experimenting on teaching them breathing practice. So then I said, what is happening to the breath? Where it's going? And the child is telling me, it's going till my head. You know, so I think it's the method of teaching a child. If you can get them interested, is I mean, if you can be interactive with them, that is the only way to get them interested. And if you're doing with the 62-year-old, what 62-year-old want? Again, it needs to be interactive. It is all about interaction. The 62-year-old, they connect to stories and they connect to this. They want to talk to you, you know. So then you make it interactive. You tell, by doing this, you will feel better. Your back will feel better. And you make them do. You tell, isn't your back feeling better now? Once their back starts feeling better, then they'll come to you again. Then they'll be interested. So the interest is very simple. People want to see results. If they see results, they will come to you immediately. Instantly you can show result, but it all attributes to the method of teaching.
Very good. So, Yagnika, how do I find gurus like you? Like my question is, we have YouTube, and but for many people, it is not easy to find the right guru. Somebody who has energy like you, or somebody as knowledgeable like your guru was. So,
Yeah.
can you just advise like what would be the correct way to find some ashram or guru? Where should I begin my search?
See, in terms of Indian education, everything is not available at one place. Unfortunately, it is that. In my opinion, what one should do is keep on experimenting. Keep on, don't stick to one particular place and become stagnant. You know, keep experimenting on, you know, if the guru suits for you, if the guru is if they are not, you know, a lot of people today are commercial and nobody is you know, the actual tradition of guru shishya parampara, they would see the child and the psychology from the very beginning. That's why my teacher and all, they took me as a child. They will not take you after you grow up, because your mindset would have already, you know, it would have already been set. You can't shape them, you see. So that is why the education process is very important since the childhood. So thankfully, thanks to the blessings of God, I got this opportunity to have such gurus. But so said, it's never too late to experiment. I still search. I still have a lot of gurus. I still experiment. I am learning multidisciplinary art forms. So I go to different gurus in different places. I go to Chennai. I go to Trivandrum. I stay for a week or two. I try to learn. I go to Isha. I go to Ravi Shankar's ashram. I go everywhere. Because wherever knowledge is available, you need to take it, but you should not blindly take it. That is the most important part. You have to see if it's suiting me. Is this working out for me? Is this right information for me? If it's not working, you leave it and you move on to the next place. See whatever information suits you. I think the right guide would be whether being in tune with the body and mind, to see if the information is suiting your body, suiting your mind, and it is helping you towards a positive and happy life. That's all matters.
Perfect. So I think I have come to the end of the questions I have for you. Do you
Sure.
have any message for our viewers? You can share any interesting story, anything at all you want to share. You're most welcome.
Okay. Interesting story. Okay. I don't have an interesting story as such, but generally, I would like to tell everybody an important message that, you know, don't be scared to experiment. Experiment, try to find out. If you don't like it once, don't do it there, but go to a different place and try out. Keep searching for whatever you want to find, even in terms of asanas, even in terms of your pranayama practice or your meditation practice. Dig deeper. Don't stay in the surface. Try to gain knowledge as much as possible, because only with knowledge your misconceptions will be erased, your mental blocks will be erased, and it will help you to lead a positive life, and it will help you take towards inner harmony, inner balance. So that thing I would like to tell everybody, that be patient and try to seek out for the actual knowledge than than just superficially doing it.
Wonderful. I loved all your answers, Yagnika. And I
Thank you so
especially
much.
like all the energy and the positive vibrations you express while talking to people. It has been a
True.
wonderful experience talking to you. And
It
I'm
was
sure
so wonderful talking to you too.
I hope to meet you someday and
Sure.
we can talk more about yoga. Till then,
Yes.
thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just going to keep this.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you.